Senator Jeff Flake just can't seem to figure out where his spine is located. Now, during a floor speech, he basically waffled between, oh, I'm attacking Trump, and then calling for, get this, I want to call for civility on both sides. Now, he said, quote, I do not believe that a claim of sexual assault is invalid because if a 15-year-old girl didn't promptly report the assault to the authorities, as the president of the United States said just 2 days ago. So he's like, look at me, I am a civil Republican, and I'm going to give her the basic of respect and not blame the victim. Wow, look at me, I am Jeff Flake, and I am such a reasonable Republican. I am a reasonable man. He said, how uninformed and uncaring do you have to be to say things like that? You'd have to be Donald Trump, much less believe them. Do you have any idea what kind of message that sends, especially to young women? How many times do we have to marginalize and ignore women before we learn that important lesson? Okay, look, yeah, I have no problems with the statements themselves, or at least that statement, because it's like, basically it's like, well, hey, look, we should actually respect women, and we should actually not attack women or ignore them when they come up with terrible accusations like this, right? Of terrible things happening to them. There's Jeff Flake saying, I'm going to attempt to be an actual regular human being and a decent human being at that. Okay, fair enough, right? Now, that of course is in response to Donald Trump, who said, why didn't somebody call the FBI 36 years ago? I mean, you could say, when did all this happen? What's going on? And he also said that afterwards, that the allegations are nothing but a con game being played by the Democrats. So saying, I don't believe them. Why didn't you come out sooner? Why didn't you come out sooner? Now, look, it's pretty low-hanging fruit to go after Donald Trump on this because, of course, as usual, Trump tends to have the worst takes imaginable on this, right? So why am I mad at Jeff Flake? You might be wondering. Well, he also called for, as I said, civility on both sides. He said that Republican and Democratic senators have turned Kavanaugh and Ford into, quote, unwitting combatants in an undeclared war. Quote, if we cannot have a human rather than a political response to these witnesses, if we are heedless to the capacity that we have to do real and lasting damage, then maybe we shouldn't be here. He furthermore says, I do not know how I will assess the credibility of these witnesses, these human beings, and the grave matters that will be testified to, because I have not yet heard a word of their testimony. And because I am not psychic, I am not gifted with clairvoyance. He's basically saying, hear Kavanaugh out. I just need to hear him out. I need to hear him and his side. And then, of course, I also need to hear our guys, or I should say the woman that we hired, because we're too afraid to ask these questions, because we know there's going to be a gigantic political blowback. We need to hear them grill this woman about her experience. And she is willing to testify. She's going to be testifying tomorrow, along with Kavanaugh. So that's what he's saying. I need to hear them both out. I need to hear them both out before I can even make any sort of judgment. Now, that might sound reasonable, but again, look at the three accusers that have just come out. That last one, the most damaging, signed an affidavit under penalty of perjury outlining how Kavanaugh is even worse than we had imagined. But here you have Jeff Flake saying, I don't know, man. I got to listen to both sides. Both sides. Look, what there is that there seems to be a pattern that has emerged here. Now, look, if there was one accuser and it was pretty vague, you could say, okay, look, yeah, I will listen to both sides. It'll be fine. But there is a pattern now. There is a very clear pattern that has been shown here. And there have been a lot of people that have been speaking out against Kavanaugh, former classmates, saying that Fox News interview, for example, full of lies and misconceptions. He is not the angel that he paints himself to be. So it appears that he is absolutely lying about what he was like in high school. And that's sexual assault allegations and rape allegations aside. But Flake continues, he says, these are human beings with families and children. Each is suffering through a very ugly process that we have created. Now, you know who created this? Kavanaugh, by allegedly raping people. Just saying. Now, he says that he doesn't believe Kavanaugh is some kind of serial sexual predator, nor does he think Christine Blasey Ford is part of a vast conspiracy to smear him. Then where do you stand, Jeff Flake? Where do you stand? Not only that, but he says that there is a toxic culture on both sides. Both sides. Oh, see, both sides are doing it. There's bad people on both sides, but there's also good people on both sides too. Very, very fine people. Really, really. Talk about not having a spine whatsoever. He is basically both sidesing this argument. That's amazing. Why are we not calling for a halt and an investigation? There absolutely needs to be an investigation. But right now, the Republican Party is attempting to push through Judge Kavanaugh. They want to vote for him on Friday. Okay, you know who could actually stop that? Jeff Flake. Flake is actually a member of the Judiciary Committee and one of the few GOP senators who have yet to say how they will vote on Kavanaugh's nomination. He is literally the swing vote. They need him. And yet here he is. He's doing the both sides nonsense. Jesus, man. He's not even saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe you, but I also don't believe you. We all know what side Jeff Flake is going to come out on. Very, very likely he's going to be like, you know what? We're going to let him go forward because again, we don't know yet. We just don't know. Look, he talks the talk. Flake does. But in every piece of legislation or everything the Republican Party wants, here's Jeff Flake saying, or actually, here's Jeff Flake voting for it. He says flowery language, flowery words. Oh, we must be civil. That we must stop this toxic atmosphere and give everyone a fair chance and make sure to be fair to the families. But at the same time, he's allowing somebody who is an alleged monster to sail through, or he very likely will. I will be very, very surprised if Jeff Flake actually stands up and says, you know what? No, we are going to halt this process and we are going to do a very thorough investigation. We are going to look into these and we are going to say, we are not going to let Kavanaugh be appointed without looking in and finding the facts. Will Jeff Flake do that? No. Jeff Flake will not. Look, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I have a very sneaking suspicion that Jeff Flake is going to fold like he always does. Flowery words, but no action. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.